What's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again to Luke Zach Football. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the AFC West. Obviously, the AFC West going into next season is the best division in all of the NFL. All the acquisitions they made and the team, how they already were at the end of last season. I'm going to be breaking it all down, but make sure to subscribe and sack that like button. This is going to be a very fun video. So, with the AFC West, first I want to just talk about all the notable free agency signings by each team this offseason. So, for the Chiefs, really only one key free agent signing, Juju Smith-Schuster. I know they got Justin Reed, but Justin Reed is still a developmental player. He's still, he'll be entering his 5th year, so hopefully it works out. But he hasn't been like a top tier safety yet in his career. But he is he's a young and fast, strong and fast kind of safety, so that could serve well for the Chiefs. But Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously, an interesting pickup for the Chiefs. By the way, he's switching to number 9. It was official today. Juju Smith-Schuster, has had a couple of down years, but the circumstances were kind of rough. I think he could fit in well with the Chiefs. I think he fits in as their number 3 or number 4 wide receiver. So I don't think he's going to have like a massive production. I think he could have a very good year, and he could even work his way to the number 2 spot in the depth chart, but he has to earn that. So yeah. And then for the Chargers, the main pickups have been on defense. They obviously picked up Khalil Mack, who had somewhat of a down year. 6 sacks this past season, which is not bad for most players, but for Khalil Mack, that's kind of low. They also picked up J.C. Jackson, the corner. We'll see how that works out. I feel like they may have jumped the gun with him a little bit, paying a cornerback that much money. J.C. Jackson obviously can pick that ball off pretty well, obviously, but I don't know if that was smart to pay him that much. But that's probably what he was demanding, and they wanted to get extra help on defense. Next thing the next team is the Raiders. Obviously, they traded for Davante Adams and they signed Chandler Jones. They needed wide receiver help. They really didn't have any real number 1 true wide receiver, and bringing in Davante Adams obviously gives you that. And let's not forget, he's the best wide receiver in football, and now he's being reunited with his former quarterback in Derek Carr. And Chandler Jones, good addition there for the Raiders. They need to beef up that pass rush even more because Cleveland Farrell is just not doing what he was expected to do. Chandler Jones can be a big complementary piece to the rest of that D line. And then the Broncos, they traded for Russell Wilson, obviously. Really, that's been their only real big splash move. Yeah, they did get Randy Gregory from the Cowboys, but I don't really consider that much of a splash move there. And I don't think Randy Gregory is going to succeed as well as he did with the Cowboys, with the Broncos, because with the Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons were there, and teams were focused on them, leaving Randy Gregory one-on-one or sometimes even left alone sometimes, and that's how he was able to get a lot of the quarterback hits. Now he may be just getting double-teamed a heck of a lot because he might be the Broncos' best pass rusher when Bradley Chubb isn't rushing the quarterback. But obviously Russell Wilson, almost no matter who your team is, gives your team a chance to be competitive and even to be a true Super Bowl contender, and it does give the Broncos that with all the weapons they already had. So when you stack all these squads up against each other, who do you think is the best offense? In my opinion, it's still the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, who's the best quarterback in the NFL. At the very least, he's definitely the top 3, but in my opinion, and in most people's opinions, it should be Patrick Mahomes. Then they got a young up-and-coming running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, how I've mentioned before. And then they have Travis Kelce, obviously, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, who's still in his prime. And then they got a stacked receiving corps with the speed demons of Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. They obviously just added Juju Smith-Schuster, like we touched on a bit ago, and they also brought back Josh Gordon. So if Josh Gordon can get back to form, and I think he will, because he will now have a full season of preparation with the Chiefs to get in sync with them, I think he can become very, very lethal for helping this offense. So you got Hill and Schuster lined up on the outside, Harmon running around in the slot, Kelsey working the middle, a top 5 offensive line, Patrick Mahomes picking and choosing, and then Josh Gordon coming in on third downs to make those big back shoulder grabs. I think this offense is the best. Obviously, all 3 of the other offenses have extreme potential. The Chargers, obviously, with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, with Justin Herbert throwing in the ball, and Eckler out of the backfield. Great offense there. I would probably rank them second after the Chiefs offense. And then third, I would actually still give it to the Broncos because they got a lot of young players, and now they got a good veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson. And then the Raiders, they're the last. I think they're the least strong offense in that division, but they're not a weak offense at all. They got Derek Carr, who's a good quarterback, a veteran quarterback. He's not elite compared to. He's not. He's probably the worst quarterback in his division, but he's not bad at all. And then they got Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller. Now they have Devontae Adams. Maybe they bring back Deshaun Jackson. I mean, that is a stacked offense as well. If you look at these defenses, though, I think that the team that has the best defense, I mean, it's a little bit unproven, but I think it would be the Chargers on paper with the people they added. If you look at last year, I think at the end of last season, the best defense of the 4 was either the Chiefs or the Broncos, and I would edge it towards the Chiefs because they were very good there in the stretch. But I think with who the Chargers have added and who the Chiefs have kind of lost, in Tyrann Mathieu most likely, and starting corner in Charvarius Ward, I think it's the Chargers. They got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack now on that D-line. They got a really good secondary in Asante Samuel Jr., Chris Harris, Derwin James, and now J.C. Jackson. So I think the Chargers defense has the potential to be the best. If you look at each of these teams' roofs and ceilings, what do I think is the Chiefs' roof? And I mean the Chiefs' roof and their floor. I think that the worst possible record I could see the Chiefs going next season is either 11-6 or maybe 10-7 if injuries pile up on them. But this team is just way too loaded on offense to lose too many games, and I think the potential is there for them to maybe have a 15-2, 16-1 season. Do I think it will happen? Probably not, but I think it can happen if things fall into place, and I do think they will go at least 12-5. In my opinion, maybe 11-6 at the worst. Then the next team, the Chargers. I think the worst the Chargers could go is probably 10-7. I don't see them going 9-8 again like this past season. A lot of talent there. I think they could be even a 13-14. Same with the Broncos, very similar, 10-7. At the worst, I think, with Russell Wilson at quarterback and those weapons, but 14-3 around at the best. And then the Raiders, the one that I think has the highest probability of not making the playoffs of all these teams. I think that the worst, even they only go 9-8. I think all 4 teams in this division will have a winning record, and it wouldn't even surprise me if the Raiders had like an 11-6, 12-5 kind of year. All 4 of these teams are going to be very dominant, I feel, and I think there's a strong possibility all 4 of them making it to the playoffs. I wouldn't bet on it because that's very tough. There's a lot of other teams that could make it in as a wild card, but I think it's almost for sure that 3 of the 4 will make it in. And then, looking at the quarterbacks, obviously ranking the quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes is my number 1. Then number 2, this might be controversial, but I think Justin Herbert. Right now, his arm talent is just insane. He can do a lot, and he can make throws that other quarterbacks can only dream of, and he's coming off of 2 big seasons to start his career. And then I think Russell Wilson, but he has a chance to go ahead of Herbert if he can reestablish his team, And then Carr obviously last, but it's not because Carr is bad whatsoever. He's just in the best division in football. Possible that these 4 quarterbacks break the record for most touchdown passes by 4 quarterbacks within a division in a single season. I tried to find out what the record is for most touchdowns by 4 quarterbacks within a division in a season, and I could not find it online. If you guys can do some research and find that out, that'd be great. Comment it down below, and I'll pin that comment. But I could not find it, but I can't imagine that it's anything more than 150. I don't see how anybody would have thrown more than 100 and any guys would have thrown more than 150 touchdowns, but I think these guys could break it, whatever it is. Say Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson all hit low 40s, and then Derek Carr hits low 30s. that right there will be well over 150 touchdowns. So it'd be interesting to find that out, and I think these guys have a great crack at it. Assuming nobody gets injured. But comment down below, what is your prediction for the AFC West? Comment who do you think is going to finish first, second, third, and fourth. Let me know. I gave mine. I'll give mine real quick. Right now, as in right now, this moment, I got the Chiefs finishing first, the Broncos finishing second, the Chargers finishing third, and the Raiders finishing fourth. But it could really go in any way. It's very hard to tell. That's how great these teams are. But other than that, I will see you guys next time.